everyone, and welcome to today's lesson on right triangle trigonometry. Before we can begin discussing trigonometry, we need to know what a right triangle is. A right triangle is just a triangle that has one right angle. There are three sides to a triangle, and in a right triangle, we have a special name for the side opposite the right angle. This is called the hypotenuse. The other two sides are called the legs, and they will have different names depending on which angle we are looking at. We're going to watch this short video to see an explanation on right triangle trigonometry and an introduction to SOHCAHTOA.
We speak student.
SOHCAHTOA, a la schmo. Dorothy took the wrong turn on the yellow brick road and has ended up in the land of SOHCAHTOA, where everything is abbreviated, from the meaning of the word SOHCAHTOA to the SOHCAHTOAN's height, to their intolerance of small yippy dogs.
Kill the beast.
Oh no, Toto!
Fortunately, the Wizard of SOHCAHTOA averts a dog napping just in time with an explanation of SOHCAHTOA's origins. It turns out, SOHCAHTOA stands for the three major trig functions: sine, cosine, and tangent. And when we say trig, we're being clever because we really mean trigonometry.
Oh snap.
Sine equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. Cosine equals the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And tangent equals the opposite over the adjacent. Together, the abbreviations spell, SOHCAHTOA. Let's try an example. Dorothy comes across a triangle in the land of SOHCAHTOA. In order to keep going, she needs to solve for the sine, cosine, and tangent of the angle. Sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, so sine of the angle equals 4 over 5, or 4/5. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so the answer is 3/5. Finally, tangent is opposite over adjacent, so 4/3. You just plug in the numbers.
Woohoo!
Looks like Toto will live to see another day outside the dog pound, because we all know what happens.
Hopefully after that video you have a better understanding of what SOHCAHTOA means and how we can use it to find the three side relationships for each angle in a right triangle. We can use this slide to refer to at any time. It discusses the key points of right triangle trig, including the sine, cosine, and tangent of angles in a right triangle. Remember that adjacent and opposite depend on which angle you are looking at. Let's take a look at an example. In this practice question, you want to identify the sine, cosine, and tangent of angle N in this right triangle. You can see that sine will be 35 over 37, the opposite side over the hypotenuse. The cosine will be the adjacent side, 12, divided by the hypotenuse side, 37, and the tangent will be opposite over adjacent, or 35 over 12. In this second practice question, we have two different angles that we want to identify the sine, cosine, and tangent of. It's important to note that the hypotenuse stays the same depending on which angle you're looking at, but opposite and adjacent depend on which angle you're looking at. I've placed the green sides in relationship to angle A and the purple sides in relationship to angle C. When I find my sine, cosine, and tangent of each angle, I want to fill in the relationship sides, and I also want to simplify my fraction. It's important to always make sure that your fraction is given in lowest terms. So even though the sine of angle A is 16 over 20, we want to reduce that to 4/5. You can see that we do that in each of the other trig relationships as well. Now that you have watched this video, you can move on to complete the Kahoot quiz.